Welcome back to R.I.P.D, the video game, loosely based on R.I.P.D, the movie, where this time we will be hold on, the tutorial hints are still here, and I really meant to turn those off before I started recording the first level, but, you know, accidents happen. So the menu predictably does not pause the game, as this game was intended as an online-only video game, and the fact that I'm playing it offline really not meant to be how you play it. Anyway, so we are in the vault right now in R.I.P.D headquarters, and this is the level where you'll see that these guys are really good at designing arena shooters. There's a big open fun playground area in the center where a lot of deados can pull together, but you're never trapped. You can run around in a variety of corridors, including a catwalk with multiple entries and exits. This level is much similar to another level in the game called the Bullpen, though I much prefer the Bullpen, where there are a lot of enemies concentrated in the center area, and you can get a good angle on the center enemies by running around to various other spots on the map. Of course, you can have fights on the catwalks and in the more constrained spaces as well, which may sometimes be necessary when the enemies chase you around. Alright, new challenge. So when we complete a challenge, we get extra money to buy upgrades for our guns and new guns at the end of levels. This challenge, we have to run around and collect 5 artifacts, which are hidden throughout the level. Whether you complete this one really depends on how well you know the level. It also illustrates how short and interconnected the levels are, so I appreciate these challenges for that reason. So, about the enemy types in this game, there are enemy types, even though it may not seem like it at first. You have a healer enemy type, which mostly hangs around to buff and heal the large enemies whenever they appear. There are enemy types that can throw grenades at you with startling accuracy, and no, you do not have grenades of your own, which I think is fine, because they'd be kind of useless when you can just buy a grenade launcher instead. There are enemy types that will use car doors as shields, and you can shoot them either through the open window on the car door or shoot at their legs in order to defeat them. It's not a very effective shield, is what I'm saying. They do most certainly have a lot of health, though, for what that's worth. There's an enemy type that exclusively does melee, easily the least important and weakest enemy type in the entire game. Not quite sure why they're there, except for the necessity of an arena shooter to have a melee enemy type. There are sniper enemy types, and they have a red line that you can see pointing directly at your character, and you can break their line of sight simply by dodge rolling. Dodge rolling will always break their line of sight 100% of the time, so you can just dodge like crazy. Unless you're getting, you know, meleeed or shot at, or, you know, there's actually a lot of situations where dodging doesn't help because dodging does not give you full invincibility frames, which is understandable, otherwise this game would be, you know, even easier than it already is. So sometimes the large enemies will carry miniguns and drop them, and you can pick up the miniguns yourself. That guy's strafing like hell. You can pick up the miniguns yourself, and there are situations where miniguns are useful. I would argue this map, not really one of them. I promise you'll get to see the minigun used properly before the Let's Play is over, because it's a mechanic that does not often appear, because you have to wait specifically for a large enemy already carrying a minigun. And even though I will try to use it here for a little bit, it's not exactly ideal in this map. Depending on the type of boss you get stuck with, though, having a minigun around can be really handy, because you can get rid of the boss hyper fast if you have a minigun. See, it's a good weapon. Kills things real fast. Issue is, can't sprint or dodge roll while you're holding the thing. In some maps, it's a lot easier for enemies to surround you, or enemies to get caught circling around on... There's one particular map that we'll see that's basically a big circle, and the minigun is really good for that map because the enemies tend to circle around in one direction instead of going in both directions. So the minigun is great for that map. There's just too many snipers right now. The minigun will get us killed, so I had to put it down. Anyway, the large enemy types. When they don't have a minigun, they have a melee weapon, and they run really, really fast. And how fast they run seems to scale with what difficulty you're playing on. So the higher the difficulty, the faster those guys are going to run. And outrunning them is a hell. It's hell. They start running at you quickly whenever you shoot them, so the second you shoot them, you better be prepared to dodge out of the way. They easily have the most health of any enemy type aside from the boss characters. But if you fully upgrade your shotgun or another weapon that we'll see shortly, then you can still kill them in just a few hits. That being said, on the higher difficulties, a couple of melee swings will be enough to utterly destroy you from them. Wow, I can't believe that shot missed me. Holy shit. Where is the sniper? Oh. So I'm not sure what kind of algorithm decides which enemies spawn or in what quantities they spawn. But there has to be something because, you know, the same enemies don't spawn every time. So there's got to be some rhyme or reason to it, besides it being entirely random. At least if it were entirely random, I feel like it would be much crazier than it is. Like, you'd be seeing a lot more of one enemy type and it would have issues keeping the game balanced properly. When in fact it seems like the game is adequately balanced as it is. Oh, something of note is that for some reason female enemies take more damage than male enemies in almost every circumstance, except for the big guys. I just think that's incredibly bizarre. Alright, so this challenge is Stakeout. Definitely one of the harder challenges, because you have to stick and move in this game, not just stick. But in this one, we have to capture points on the map. So we have to run to the point we need to capture and stay there for a significant period of time. Now, if we leave the point, we can always come back to it later and resume where we were. But these are small areas to get stuck in. Very small places. So, especially on the higher difficulties, dying during this challenge, very common. Because staying in you're not really equipped to stay in one place. It can get easier depending on what kind of weapon you have. There's a weapon we're going to get about halfway through the game that will make it a lot easier to stay in one place, especially when it's upgraded, but for the most part, really, staying in one place is a bad idea. Because enemies will try to flank you, and they'll all converge on your position from multiple directions, and eventually, you're just gonna die. This one wasn't so bad, seemingly because it took the enemies a long-ass time to actually get up here. Really should give us some kind of notification or sound when we fully captured the point, besides the bar just disappearing. But now we have to capture a second point. We have around 90 seconds to do so. And I'm going to choose the worst possible point to capture. But first we're going to do a little sprint by ammo pickup. Going to grab some ammo here real quick. And now we're going to go back and capture that point. So, this is the worst place to be standing in this whole level. Right where we're standing right here. Just the absolute worst place you could be standing. Everybody can shoot you from above, from your sides. It's just the worst. There is no reason for you to be standing here. There are other spots I could choose from too. It doesn't have to be this one. But I chose this one. And it's the worst. It's not like we can really maneuver our way out of trouble either. Thankfully, the effectiveness of the healing beacon is amazing in this difficulty. Not so much on the higher difficulties. The amount we're going to be using the healing beacon will decrease immensely when we up the difficulty. But for now, healing beacon's great. Love the healing, and I'm dead. So normally you can wait for a friend to revive you, but we are playing in single player, so we just have to kill ourselves and then respawn. And then we're going to rush back to that checkpoint so we can finish capturing it. Hopefully we won't get killed on the way there. After this challenge is finished, because I'm confident that you've seen pretty much everything there is to see in this level, we're going to skip ahead to the boss fight encounter.